Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's session. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much. Good evening, Jana. How are you? For those of you who've just joined, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's session. My name is Suryansh, and today we'll be discussing some of the questions that have come in the CMAT exam in the past. So basically, some sample questions with respect to the time, speed, and distance concept. So we'll be doing some questions. We'll be discussing some shortcuts, tricks, some concepts that might be able to help you in solving those questions in the least amount of time. So let's wait for a couple of minutes for everybody to tune in, and then we'll begin today's session. In the meantime, just all those who joined, just ping on the YouTube chat so that I know that you're able to see the screen and are able to hear me. Okay, let's wait for one more minute and then we'll begin the session. The idea is to just discuss some of the sample questions or the questions that have come in the CMAT exam in the past with respect to the time, speed, and distance concept. So I think time, speed, and distance is a very essential part of the quant syllabus, whether it's CAT, whether it's CMAT, whether it's any other uh, competitive exam. And for some people, this concept is a bit difficult. Some for some it's easy. But I think the questions that we're going to discuss today are relatively simpler, especially for those who've already gone through the CAT prep, because the level of difficulty is much lower if you see the CMAT with respect to CAT. So yeah, so I've got 14 people online as of now. Let's wait for 15-20 seconds more and then we'll begin the session. All right. So once again, a good evening to everybody. And the questions we are discussing would be time, speed, and distance. We'll read out the questions. I'll provide you certain tricks, certain shortcuts on how best you can solve these questions in the least amount of time. So let's begin then. Okay. Uh, okay. Yeah. Walking at three-fourths of his normal speed, Abhishek is 16 minutes late in reaching his office. The usual time taken by him to cover the distance between his home and his office is okay. So what's given here is there's a guy Abhishek who travels at a normal speed to his office every day. Now, if he travels at three-fourths of his original speed, then he's 16 minutes late. So let's say the initial speed, the original speed of Abhishek is okay. Sorry, some difficulty with my pointer. So now it's there. So let's say the initial speed is v, and the initial time that Abhishek takes to go to office is t. All right. So now what happens is, now his new speed is v dash, that is 3 by 4 times of v. All right. And now his new time t dash, that is t plus 16 by 60. These many uh, minutes extra. So that is just t plus 16 by 60 is 4 by 50. All right. Now he covers the same distance every day. Earlier, the distance is basically d, which is v into t. And now same way, distance here is again v dash into t dash, right? So v into t is basically v dash, which is 3 by 4v, and t dash, which is t plus 4 by 15. So basically 3 by 4v into t plus 4 by 15. That's the new speed and new time. So v and v would get cancelled, and we would be left with t is 4t is basically 3t plus 4 by 5. All right, so this gives t as uh, yeah, 4 by 5 hours, or 4 by 5 into 60, which is 48 minutes. So answer is option A. All right. So what's a simple question of speed, time, and distance? Initial speed v, initial time t, new speed v dash, new time t dash. Now we know that the new speed is 3/4, 75% of the initial speed, and the new time is 16 minutes more because Abhishek gets 16 minutes late. So that new time is t dash, which is t plus 16 by 60 if you have to convert it in hours. So that is t plus 4 by 15. The total distance remains the same from office to home to office. That is v into t or v dash into t dash. So just equate d. V into t is basically v dash into t dash, which is that gives t as the original time, that as 48 minutes. All right. Any doubts in this one? I think it's a simple, straightforward question. Any doubts? Any questions? Is it clear? Just use the concept of distance, which is speed into time. In both the cases, v and v would get cancelled, and we're left with yeah a relation between t dash and t. And from that we get t as 48 minutes. So then I'll move ahead if this is clear. Okay. All right. So next, second question. Ram and Bharat travel the same distance at the rate of 6 kilometers per hour and 10 kilometers per hour, respectively. If Ram takes 30 minutes longer than Bharat, then the distance traveled by each is okay. So what's given here is both Ram and Bharat travel the same distance. And the one Ram travels at 6 kilometers per hour, and Bharat travels at 10 kilometers per hour, respectively. Now, For Ram, it takes 30 minutes longer. Naturally, because he is traveling at a smaller speed, at a lower speed. So naturally, the time taken by Ram would be more than that which is taken by Bharat. So that's 30 minutes more. So if Bharat takes T time, then Ram would take T plus 30 by 60, or T plus half an hour more, right? Now, Ram's speed is 6 kilometers and Bharat's speed is 10 kilometers per hour. All right. And both of them travel the same distance. All right. So, distance traveled by Ram would be 6 into T plus half, and distance traveled by Bharat is 10 into T, speed into time. Now, this both distances equal. So, we are left with 6T plus 3 is equal to uh, 10T. Right. So that gives 4T as equal to 3, or T comes out to be 3 by 4 hours, or 45 minutes. Okay. So now we've got the total time that Bharat takes. We have to find out the distance traveled by each. Now both Ram and Bharat travel the same distance. The distance traveled by Bharat or Ram, which is 10T, or 6 into T plus half. So basically, if T is 3 by 4, then distance would be 10 into 3 by 4, which is 7.5 kilometers. Answer is option C, 7.5 kilometers. All right. Again, simple speed, time, and distance question. Two people, two different speeds. The time taken would be different. Ram takes 30 minutes more. So distance is same. So just equate the distance of Ram and Bharat. 6 into T plus half is equal to 10T. Solve for T comes out to be 3 by 4 hours, or 45 minutes. Now, if Bharat is traveling at 10 kilometers per hour, he travels for 45 minutes, or 3/4 of an hour. So the total distance that he would travel would be 7.5 kilometers, which is same for Ram as well. So that is 7.5 kilometers. All right. Not a very complicated question. Simple concept of speed, time, and distance. Just equate the distance. So naturally, generally, this is a simple question. So it didn't take a lot of time. But generally, what we do is a lot of times the variable whose value we need to find out, try to solve for that as well, right? So in this case, we have to solve for D. So one way is to first solve for T, that we have done, and then substitute the value of T, and then find out the value of the total distance. Or we can also equate each of them in terms of each time as in terms of D. Like in this case, 10T, D is basically 10 into T, which is Bharat's. So what we can do is we can substitute the value of T in terms of D by 10, and then substitute the value of T here as D by 10 and T here as D by 10 to solve for D. Then you can automatically get the value of D as 7.5 kilometers. So maybe that. So this is a simple question, so it won't take a lot. It won't make a much of difference. But sometimes you might get some complicated questions with some complicated calculations. So there, it would be better to actually solve for the variable whose value you have to find out. All right. So I'll move ahead in case there is no further question. Okay. So okay, third question. Two trains from for Mumbai leave Delhi at 6 a.m. and 6:45 a.m. and travel at 100 kilometers per hour and 136 kilometers per hour, respectively. How many kilometers from Delhi will the two trains meet? Okay. So what happens is there is Delhi. That's the starting point. There is one train that starts at 6 a.m. All right, and this moves forward at 100 kilometers per hour. All right. So now, after 45 minutes, let's say this train is one. This train is somewhere here. All right. Now, there is another train. Let's say that train is train two that starts at 6:45, 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, and this travels at a speed of 136 kilometers per hour. All right. Now, at 6:45, this train starts as it's given. So there is a 45 minutes of lead time for the first train. It has already traveled some distance in the 45 minutes. Now, how many kilometers from Delhi will the two trains be together? Okay. So what happens is, uh, okay. So now this train is one is at some points. Let's say point A. This it has already covered. Now it is moving again at 100 kilometers per hour, and this train, train 2, is moving at 136 kilometers per hour. So naturally, since the speed of the second train is basically higher than that of the first train, so basically the relative due to relative speed, there is a 36 kilometers per hour of relative speed difference between the first and the second train. So naturally, at some point of time, the second train will try to overtake, will actually cover up the distance that the first train has taken, and then actually overtake the first train. So we need to find out at how many kilometers will the two trains be together. That means at what point will the second train would start overtaking the first train. That's what we have to find out in this question. Okay, so what happens is, let's say the time that it takes for the two trains to be together is, let's say, t for the first train which leaves at 6 a.m. Let's say it takes after t hours from 6 a.m. both the distances, both the trains are together. Let's say that's t. So now for the second, this is for the first train, right? That starts at 6 a.m. Now for the second train, which starts at 6:45 a.m., the time would be since there is a 45 minutes lead time, so time for second train would be 45 minutes less. So this would be t minus 3 by 4. 45 minutes is 3 by 4 of an hour. Since we are talking an hour, so this would be 3 by 4. Now, both the trains are would actually basically travel the same distance till that point. The two trains are together, right? Now, for the first train, it is traveling at 100 kilometers per hour, and it is taking a total time of t. So the distance for first train would be 100 into t. For the second train, again, it would be d, because both the trains would actually cover the same amount of distance by the time by the time they're together, right? So again, this would be d, but here the second train is traveling at 136 kilometers per hour, and it is taking t minus 3 by 4. So this would be 136 into t minus 3 by 4, right? Now these two distances are equal. Just as we had done in the previous question, we have just equated the distances. Same concept we'll apply here also. So 100 into t is basically 136 into t minus 3 by 4. All right. So basically 136 t minus 136 divided by 4 is basically 34. So 34 into 3, which is 100. So 100t, and so basically this is 100. So 36t would come out to be equal to 102, or t comes out to be equal to 102 by 36, which is somewhere around 2 point. You can use the on-screen calculator as well to find out. But again, 136 into 3 is 108. So somewhere between near to 3. Somewhere, I think this comes out to be 2.83 hours. 2.83 hours. So now t is the time which is coming out to be 2.83 hours. We need to find out how many kilometers from Delhi. Basically, we have to find out the distance. So distance is 100 into t. So that would be just d is 100 into 2.83, which is the value we are getting here, right? So this comes out to be 283.33 kilometers. All right. So after 283 kilometers from Delhi, would the two trains be together, and the second train would start overtaking the first train because it has a higher speed. All right. So again, in all the three questions, what we have done is just equated the distances. You can either solve for time and then substitute the value of time to find out the distance, or you can directly substitute the value of time in terms of d and then solve for d. Both the approaches are fine and would yield the same result. Whichever approach you find simple, you can use that. All right. Yeah, so you can use so this the calculation here is a bit slightly complicated in terms of 102 by 36. It's not something that would come naturally, so probably you can use a screen calculator to solve it. Otherwise, you can also find out the approximate value as well. So 102 by 36 is somewhere is 51 by 18. So 18 into 3 is 54. So basically close to 3. So close to 3 would be 2.8. Absolutely, Jana. You can use the approximation technique as well. So as I mentioned, yeah, if the answer is coming close to 3, so whichever option is closest to 3 or 300, because we have to then multiply it with 100 as well. You can use that. So in this case, the options are very close. So again, yeah, 283, 262, 260, 275. So again, if you are good with calculation, if you're sure that yeah, this is 3. So basically, yeah, if it comes naturally, probably you can use the approximation technique. If the options are a bit far here, the options are a bit close. So I would suggest that to be sure, you can use a screen calculator. Otherwise, if your calculations are good enough, you can use the approximation technique. Or if the options are too far away. All right. So then, if this is clear, then I'll move ahead. Okay, so nice names in this question. Sambhu beats Kalu by 30 meters or 10 seconds. How much time was taken by Sambhu to complete a race 1200 meters? So what happens in this case is there are two people, Sambhu and Kalu. Sambhu beats Kalu by 30 meters or uh, uh, to 10 seconds, and the length of the total race is 1200 meters. So what happens is Sambhu is first, he reaches, and after 10 seconds, Kalu reaches. And the difference between Sambhu and Kalu is 30 meters. So basically, if this is the start point and this is the finish point, start, finish. All right. So when Sambhu reaches here, Kalu is somewhere here, and this distance is 30 meters. This is Kalu. And now, after Sambhu reaches, it takes 10 seconds for Kalu to cover this distance. So basically Kalu covers just 30 meters in 10 seconds. Right? There is a difference of 30 meters between Kalu and Sambhu. So that means that distance and the time that it takes for Kalu to cover that 30 meters is 10 seconds, because Sambhu beats Kalu by either 30 meters or 10 seconds. Right? So that means speed of Kalu we can find out from this. So basically Kalu's speed, let's say that is Vk. That would be just he covers a total distance. He total length of the race is 1200 meters. But again, in this case, Kalu he covers 30 meters in 10 seconds. So 30 meters in 10 seconds. So basically Kalu's speed is 3 meters per second. All right. Kalu's speed is 3 meters per second. Okay. Now, what happens is if we can find out the total time that Sambhu takes, let's say that, Kalu takes, total time that Kalu takes, let's say that is Tk, right? That is basically the total time that Sambhu takes plus 10, right? Because Sambhu beats Kalu by 10 seconds. So that means Kalu is taking 10 seconds more, right? So now the total length of the race is the total distance that each of them travels. That is 1200 meters, right? Now, Kalu is traveling at 33 meters per second. So the total time that Kalu takes, TK, would be just 1200 divided by 3. 1200 divided by 3, which is 400 seconds, right? We know the speed of Kalu. We know the total length of the race, 1200 meters. So the total time that Kalu takes would be 400 seconds. Now, then from this, the time that Sambhu takes would be 10 seconds less, right? Because of this relation. So this Kalu's, the Sambhu's time would be 400 minus 10, which is 390 seconds. So 390 seconds is basically 60 seconds is 1 minute. So 390 seconds would be 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's what we have to find out in this question. How much time does Sambhu takes to complete a total distance of 1200 meters? All right, so that distance is uh, that time is 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay. Any questions? I think the tricky part here is to basically identify the speed of Kalu, which is simple because both the difference of distance as well as time is given. So we can actually find out that Kalu covers 30 meters in 10 seconds, or his speed is 3 meters per second. I agree, Siddharth, because in this case, I can directly automatically say that the speed of Kalu is 3 meters per second or 30 meters by 10, which is 3 seconds. So I and then 3 meters per second, and then just basically divide 1200 by 3 to 400, and then say 10 seconds less for Sambhu. That would be 390 seconds. All right. So I think you can solve that as well. I'm taking a lot of time in explaining the concept. Otherwise, for me, the shortcut method in this would be just speed of Kalu. Find out time. Find out the time, and then just subtract 10 from it. Yeah, I think no other. I think all the approaches or methods would be come from there only. It's taking me a lot of some time because I'm explaining the concept to you. Okay. So Siddesh, in the paper, you don't have to solve. Don't have to write all this. You don't have to draw diagrams. You have to just find out the speed of Kalu. That's it, and that would just take you to. I think you can solve this question in less than 15 to 20 seconds. It's not that difficult. You don't even need a pen and paper to solve this question because the calculations are not complicated, right? Just find out the time and then just subtract it. That's it. All right. Okay. Next question. What is the time taken by Chandu to cover a distance of 360 kilometers by a motorcycle moving at a speed of 10 meters per second? Okay. So now I think this is a very simple question. Time taken by Chandu. The distance is covered in kilometers. Distance is mentioned in kilometers, and then the speed is mentioned in meters per second. So you have to just convert it into kilometers per hour and just solve. So basically 10 into, so speed is meters per second. So either convert this into meters or this into kilometers per hour, right? And find out the time. So time would be just 360 divided by 10 into 5 by 18 is when we do from kilometers per hour to meters per second. So here it would be 18 by 5, right? This would be 2. So this total would be 10. Answer would be option A. Very simple question. Nothing to discuss. Yeah, just kilometer distance is given, speed is given. Convert them into same units and then solve. All right. Okay. I don't think would be any questions in this one. This is a simple concept. Okay. Okay. Now next question. Walking at 3/4 of his normal speed, a man takes 2.5 hours more than the normal time. Find the normal time. All right. So basically, what's given here is if the speed is 75%, if the speed is 75%, the time is 2.5 hours more, right? So basically, what we are given is 3 by 4 into uh, t plus 5 by 2. That is equal to uh, t. That's it. That would be the equation that would form. Speed is 3/4, time is increased. That's it. Basically, 3t plus 15 by 8 would be just 40, or t would be just comes out to be 15 by 8 hours. 15 by sorry 3t plus 15 by 2. Sorry, yeah, 15 by 2. So which is 7.5 hours. This would be 15 by 2. All right. So this is the question. So again, this is simple. Speed is 3/4. So time is basically increasing by 5 by 2. So just solve. So again, Siddesh, I'm not showing the steps in between. I think these are appropriate. So this would be this kind of shortcut. Just new speed into new time is basically old speed into old time. So speed would get cancelled. Just use this, and you'll be able to solve for it. All right. So I think this won't take a lot of time. I think not more than 15-20 seconds. So okay. Um, yeah. If there are no questions, are there any questions, or should I move ahead? Okay. If there are no questions, then I'll move ahead. Okay. Rajdhani Express travels at 650 kilometers in 5 hours. Another train 940 and another 940 kilometers in 10 hours. What is the average speed of the train? Okay. So this is a concept that I have to tell you if in case you don't know. Generally, average speed is basically average speed. Average speed is basically total distance divided by total time. So whenever a question of average speed is there in the exam, what you have to do is just total distance divided by total time. All right. That would actually make your work easier, and that would actually be very helpful in solving the question in the least amount of time. In this case, the total distance that Rajdhani Express covers is basically 650 plus 940 divided by 5 plus 10. All right, so basically 650 plus 940 is 1590 divided by 15. So this comes out to be 106 kilometers. Nothing much to solve in this one. All right, 1590 divided by 15. Total distance divided by total time. 650 plus 940 divided by total time. 5 hours for first, 10 hours for second. Total hours 15 hours. 1590 by 15 or 106 kilometers. So basically, again, you can approximate also. So 1500 by 15 is uh, approximately 100. So the answer would be somewhere close to 100. If you don't have to, if you don't feel like solving the exact question, you can approximate. So the closest answer to 100 in this case it is option C. Okay. Yeah. All right. So then I'll move ahead. Okay. All right. Jayashree goes to office at a speed of 6 kilometers per hour and returns to her home at a speed of 4 kilometers per hour. If she takes 10 hours and all, what is the distance between her office and her home? Okay, so in this case, what happens is this might sound a bit complicated, but it's actually not, because the calculations here are very simple. You don't even need a pen and paper. So what's given here is Jayashree goes to office at 6 kilometers per hour, and then she returns for 4 kilometers per hour. All right. So then what happens is, again, and it is taking her 10 hours in total for this return journey from back home to office, and then back from office to home. All right. So now what happens in this case is, yeah. So basically the speeds which are given 6 and 4, right? And the total time is also given as 10. All right. So in this case, the sum of speeds is also 10, and the total hours that it takes for the return journey is also 10. All right. So what's in what we can do is, basically, if she's traveling at 6 kilometers per hour, then basically if she takes if she travels at 6 kilometers per hour, let's say it takes her 4 hours, and then if she travels at 4 kilometers per hour, it takes her 6 hours. So this is also equal to 10, and basically this is also equal to 10. Basically 6 kilometers per hour, 4 hours, and 4 kilometers per hour, 6 hours. So basically the total distance would be just 6 into 4 or 4 into 6. Both answers are 24. All right. So the total distance from between the home and the office is basically 6 into 4, or return journey 4 into 6. The answer is 24 kilometers. All right. So whenever such kind of questions come, where basically if the two speeds are given and the total time is basically either equal to the sum of the speeds, or basically some kind of a multiple, then basically the ratio of the times is just basically inverted. So if 6 kilometers per hour, so then it would be it would take actually be traveling for 4 hours, and 4 kilometers per hour it would basically be for 6 hours. So yeah. So even in this case, if it would have been 20 hours, then also the ratio would be 6 kilometers per hour for 8 hours, and 4 kilometers per hour for 12 hours. So again, the ratio would be again in the ratio of 6/4 or 4/6, just the inverse. More speed, less time. Slow speed, more time. So again, then the total distance would have been just 6 into 8, or 4 into 12, which is 48. All right. So whenever such kind of questions come, you can just uh, invert the ratio would be just the inversion, the inverse of the speeds, and just solve for that. So six, yeah. So it would be just 6 into 4 or 4 into 6, which is 24 kilometers. Either way. All right. All right. So yeah, we're done with the questions. If there are any doubts, any questions that you have, then please feel free to ask. Otherwise, we are good to go. We solved 10 questions, 9 questions actually, in a span of I think less than 30 minutes. So I think yeah, if there are any questions, please feel free. Otherwise, we are good to go. Have a dinner. I had actually saved the entire hour, but I think the questions were very simple, so we were able to do those questions very quickly. If there are any things that you want to discuss when you want to ask, then please feel free. I understand, Nitin, the attempting 200 questions is a bit difficult, but again, if you see, you need almost like, yeah, you basically um, these kind of questions, if you can, if I'm doing a lot of paperwork in this, so it is taking me some time, maybe a minute or two to solve. But in the exam, what you have to do is just you have to do those mental calculations in this case. So then what happens is basically, yeah, I think that's sufficient. You'd still get sufficient amount of time to solve those questions mentally, because like in this case, 6 and 4, and the total hours are 10. So automatically your mind should work in a way ki, 6 plus 4 is a 10, and we are getting 10 hours. So basically 6 into 4 is 24, and 4 into 6 is also 24, and also sum is also coming out to be 10. So obviously the answer would be 24. Same way in previous cases, wherever you can solve mentally, do that. Wherever you can use approximations, do that. Try to solve in terms of the variable whose value you have to find out. That these are some of the questions, some of the techniques that you can use to basically solve the questions in a minimal amount of time. I think all these questions that I have discussed, it should not take you more than, I think, 30 to 45 seconds. Like the hardest of the questions would take you, I think, 30 to 45 seconds, and the easiest of questions would not take you more than 15 seconds. I think so. That's how you have to practice. Um, what is the ideal time to be given to quants in CMAT? So again, that uh, uh, I think the English, the verbal part is something that's still like so then you can solve it. If you don't know, then yeah, you're done. Like you have to either attempt it or you can leave it ahead. But for quants, also like the main time goes in solving the question. So I think generally the paper is not very difficult. That I would like to say. So as I mentioned, for an easy question, like you can just look at the question and say that it's an easy. It'll take not a lot of calculations. Then keep it for 15 seconds. Then I think automatically your mind would start solving it in that amount of time. If it involves a certain amount of calculation by looking at, don't take more than 45-50 seconds. I think within 45-50 seconds, if you are not able to solve, then you should move on to the next question. I think that is the technique that you should ask. So again, Janam, I would not say the ideal time for the entire section. I would say an ideal time for an entire question. So between 15 seconds to 45 seconds. I think that should be your motto. If you don't, if you're not able to solve it, then move on to the next question. I think that's what is done. Once you're done, once you've covered through all the questions, and there's still some time that you feel is left for that section, or like you're done with the other sections as well, then I think then probably you can try to look at solving those questions that you've left out. But otherwise, I think 15 seconds for an easy question to 45 seconds for maximum for a tough question. I wouldn't say tough, but a lengthy or a critical calculation question. All right. So yeah, any questions? Any further questions? Okay. If there are no further questions, then thank you so much, guys. Have a good weekend ahead and all the best. Take care.